Hello, I'm Robert McKay. I recently, as an experiment, changed the name of this channel from just Whiskey for Beginners to Whiskey for Beginners by a Whiskey Hick. By the time this video gets uploaded, by the time you see it, maybe that will still be the case. Maybe I'll have changed it back. It's kind of an experiment to see how I like it. But I am a hick. If you can't tell it by the way I talk, let me tell you, I'm a Texas hick. But I do want to provide information for beginners in whiskey, and if it benefits others, that's great, that's fine. One of the things I like to do is review whiskeys that other people aren't reviewing. There's a lot of basic whiskey out there, stuff that you won't find on the top shelf. It doesn't cost $100 or more a bottle. It's not a special release. It's just ordinary whiskey. And when you're just starting out in whiskey, you don't know from single barrel, you don't know from barrel proof, you don't know from special release. All you know is what you see on the shelf, and you got 40 zillion whiskeys there. However, today I'm going to be reviewing something that isn't a basic whiskey. And I have this particular bottle of it. Given my circumstances, I will probably not have another bottle of this for a long time, if ever. Now, because of my thoroughly amateur setup, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see the label, but it is True Blue Straight Corn Whiskey. Now, that word straight has a legal meaning here in the United States. It means that it has aged at least 2 years, and there are no artificial colors and no artificial flavors. Straight whiskey also, if it has aged anywhere between 2 and 4 years, has to have an age statement on it. And this is 42 months, which is about 3.5 years. And look how dark it is. Let me find a place where you can see it. Now, let me do that. See how dark that whiskey is? This is from Balcones Distilling in Waco, Texas, and they make dark whiskey. It's that Texas climate and something they do with the barrels. My understanding is they toast them first and then char them, which really helps the flavor. But this is cask strength, and I never heard people routinely talking about a barrel as a cask until I started drinking whiskey. It's really a European term that some whiskey distillers here have brought over. This is also, by the way, I should tell you what cask strength is, barrel proof. This whiskey is the exact proof that it come out of the barrel. They have not proofed it down. Usually you dump a bunch of barrels and, they might be 120 proof, 110 proof, what have you. And then they add water to bring it down to whatever proof they're going to sell it at, 80 proof, 90 proof. If it's Woodford Reserve, I think it's 90.4 proof. This is cask strength. They have not tempered it down at all. This is how it come out of the barrel. It is a single barrel. That means what is in this jar here, this bottle, came out of one barrel. It's not several barrels batched together. Now, as I say, it does say it's 42 months, so this being a straight whiskey, it has to have that age statement, but it is also a store pick from Total Wine. So this is the first time I have ever had a barrel proof, single barrel, store pick whiskey. And due to unusual circumstances, I was able to pick it up, and I did because I love the baby blue corn whiskey, and I wanted to try this. I'm not going to pour much of it. This is just a review, and I don't want to waste any whiskey that I'm not going to drink. That should do it there. There are drawbacks to a cork, but it does make a nice sound. I don't know if you heard that. And see, look how dark that is for being 3.5 years. And it's corn whiskey, which means you have to use it, age it either in used charred barrels or new uncharred barrels. So it's not going to pick up the flavor and the color as fast or as much as bourbon or rye, which age in new charred barrels. But that has a right pretty color. That is a dark color. Waco, or at least Balcones, turns out dark whiskey. And I don't know that all Texas distillers do, but Balcones does. It's nice and thick, and I've drank some of it already. I don't ever review a whiskey till at least the second glass anymore. I found out it works better for me that way. I don't know if you'll be able to see just how slowly those legs are forming. The Balcones turns out viscous, oily whiskeys. They use these big Forsyth pot stills, Forsyth being a company in Scotland. Why they didn't go to Vendome in Kentucky, I don't know. Nothing. It's just a puzzlement. It's nothing against them. And because of the original setup in their original distillery building, those pot stills had long line arms leading over to the worm. And that has an effect on the result, the fact that it's a pot still, those long line arms. And Forsyth reproduced the length of the line arm with a spiral because they're in a different building now with different characteristics. And again, I don't know if you can see it, but those legs are not even hardly running now. And as for the nose, it's just so dense and complex. At first, all you get is warmth. And it's 54.8% alcohol by volume, which works out, when you do the math, to 109.6 proof. So it's not that high a proof, but it is higher than if you're a beginner, you're probably used to. It's 20, almost 30 proof points higher than you're going to get from Jack Black or Jim Beam White. And yet there's not this alcohol in the face. I can feel it in my nose. It's there. But all I'm getting is the smell. It's warm. It's dark. It's fuzzy. And these are very subjective terms, I know. Whiskey tasting is a very subjective thing. And so different people might say different things on this same whiskey. But there's mesquite smoke in there, butter, honey, corn. It's just delicious. There's kind of almost a dark candy smell. And I have a written review on distiller.com, also in the Bourbon Aficionados group and the Whiskey and Whiskey group on MeWe. And so if you want to get a much more detailed review, you can go to any one of those three places. But like almost all the Balcones whiskey I've ever had, I could just sit and nose this all day. It's that complex. It's that delicious of a smell. Oh yeah, that's good. It's almost like sitting by a mesquite fire. But I'm going to go ahead and taste it. And there's definitely alcohol there. Man, first thing in the morning is not when I normally have whiskey. And that 109 proof hit my tongue. Now, it tasted good. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not criticizing this juice at all. but that was more alcohol than I normally get at this time of day. And I'm going to review several whiskeys, just bang, 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 and I'm trying to do them quick. And I'm already further into this video than I ever intended to be. But I picked this one so it would wake my mouth up and I'd be ready better to review the others. But oh, now I'm becoming kind of a bit of a proof hound. I like proof, but it's definitely there. That alcohol is there. But in the taste, I'm getting honey, oak, some kind of dark fruit, plums maybe. It's a very complex whiskey, and I'm not taking the time to pick it apart and dig out everything that's there that I would do if it were one of my formal written reviews. But it is right good. It as I said, when you smell it, it's like sitting next to a mesquite fire. And it's got that on the taste too, as well as all these sweet components. There's some spice in there as well. It's almost like eating home cooking. (109.6 proof. Butter, cinnamon, oak. Very delicious whiskey. This is one of the few whiskeys, and I'm going to pull that up here. I made me up a rating scale, and then I can't remember all the elements I put on it. But I have, I believe it's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different ratings, and it's a HIC scale. I'm using HIC terminology. I am a HIC, as I've said. And the highest one is Mighty Fine. This is Mighty Fine Whiskey, Balcones True Blue Cask Strength Single Barrel Corn Whiskey. Because it is a single barrel, each one is going to be different. This is barrel 21757. A different barrel will have a little bit different taste to it, a little bit different nose. But this is Mighty Fine Whiskey, and if you can get you some, I sure do recommend it.